I guess that's a good time. We're back. We never left. I live here. Sorry.
Is there a movie that
We're going.
we're quoting here?
It's like only me and like two other people, whatever. We're going. We're there.
I have no. I hope
I was
those
at
two
Boots
other
and
people
Hearts
are
one
listening.
year, and which is like that.
Yeah, the Barry, right?
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
It's in Burles Creek.
Every half a country girl from Newmarket wants to go to Boots and Hearts. So
man,
I've never been, but I'm well aware.
That was the. That's honestly when I stopped loving country music. Was
because you met too many chicks from Newmarket?
No, no. I met this guy, and he said some of the most hot takes I've ever heard in my life
about
races.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And I was just so uncomfortable. And he was also 6'6", 320 pounds. Like the type of guy that slaps you on the shoulder when you're talking and you're like
oh that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
And then since then I was like, maybe this isn't the crowd I want to be hanging around with too much. It was like shockingly uncomfortable. I'm not gonna repeat.
Yeah. You get 6'6", 320 pounds of solid racism.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There were some people. There's some characters there though. There was one guy walking around and looking back, you know, you're young and it's fun and it's like whatever. There's a guy walking around topless with Domers are for schmucks written on him.
Oh my god.
And it was like hilarious.
Okay,
I saw that guy. I was dying laughing. But then now looking back, I'm like, that guy has to live with that for his whole life.
Wait, was that tattooed?
No,
my god.
No, not tattooed. No. It was.
But he has to live with something for the rest of his life. Something itchy, perhaps.
Yeah, he's definitely something.
Oh,
the worst thing about it, like I guess best case scenario is just a bunch of people have photos of him.
Confirm. Let's use that as our reference material.
Yeah.
Is this the
same guy? That
I'm out. Sorry, I'm gonna pass.
Domers are for schmucks. Yeah.
That reminds me, there was I didn't choose it for today's episode, but maybe this will be a half a rant. Who knows? As I'm looking for the Reddit random, I went to the Ask TO subreddit just for like, let's see what interesting questions people are asking. Perhaps we can dive down a rabbit hole. I decided it was probably neither of our fortes to discuss at any length, but the question was something along the lines of why is like the hookup culture in Toronto, or the people that hook up in Toronto, so against using condoms? Clearly, one of the guys at Boots and Hearts fits that category.
Obviously for schmucks.
Clearly, they're just not schmucks.
Yeah,
that's the answer to that question.
Yeah, I'm not going to comment on that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been married for a while.
Well, what the reason I started speaking about Boots and Hearts was because that we're there. We're there with like we went and we were there.
You were there.
We were there. Yeah, and there was just these guys, of course, hockey guys probably, and they're just screaming like, "We're going!" And everybody's like,
"Are you going?"
And then they got such a big group of people together, and we're all yelling. I was part of it too. I was like, "We're going!" I don't know where, but we're all going, and everybody's so excited.
Island. We're going to Centerville.
This is like midday Boots and Hearts, so everybody's going crazy.
Yeah.
So when I was in university, I tried that in like Frosh Week.
Uh-huh.
So you're just meeting a bunch of people, meeting people who live on my floor.
Yeah.
We're all like not friends yet, but like getting there. And so we go outside into like the campus at night, and like there's a bunch of first years there because everybody's excited and going out. And me and my buddies start yelling like, "We're going, we're there, we're going!" And we had a group of like 30 people rolling up to these house parties that were like 10 people inside. So we would just go from party to party, bringing this group of people. It was so much fun though. But yeah, so now it's just small amount of people know that saying.
I hope they're listening.
Probably not.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, good times, man. University was
the festival days.
It was a lot of fun.
I wouldn't know.
I'm definitely happy.
Other people's universities were a lot of fun. Yes,
it was interesting. So going to university. So I originally wanted to get a BBA degree, and go into BBA. And what happened? And my marks in high school were many years ago. They were very, very high. I was actually pretty smart, believe it or not. And what happened is in grade 12, so the year that kind of matters the most, like first half of the year, I get another bad concussion. This is like my 10th at this point. And
hockey?
Yeah, that one was hockey. First game of the season, just get hit. I'm a goalie too. I was a goalie, and I got hit in the head, just down, lights out, got up, skated off the ice, said, screw this, I'm never playing again. Like, this is not worth it anymore. I already know I'm not making any money off this. This is just dumb at this point. My marks went from like 90s to like 70s in the span of like a month and a half. It was like really bad. Like, my teachers pulled me aside and they're like, hey, you're a really good student, but you're not going to get in anywhere. Well, they knew what happened, right? I was in like a sport program, and they're just like, you're not going to get into anywhere. Like, you need to figure, like, we need to get you help. We need to figure this out. So, like, got the help that I needed and everything. And it was definitely an uphill battle after that, because my marks went so low. So I finally got them up to like an 87, which was like pretty good. But where I was
BBA level,
it was.
Oh,
but like the cusp.
Right.
So anyways, for some reason I didn't, even though I knew people that had way lower marks get in. I don't know, maybe extracurricular, who knows? But I think I was very lucky that I didn't get in, because I chose economics instead, which is actually what I kind of was more interested in. I thought BBA was going to be cool. I'm like, oh, I got to learn how to, be business. And then you get there and you're like, oh, this is kind of,
shout out to everyone with a BBA.
They'll know. They'll probably tell you. They'll
like,
tell you.
It was trash.
You have to learn like Porter's 5 forces, and it was just like weird, and like it's very. Oh my god! So BBA courses are they're very strange. It's all about regurgitating things that you memorize, which makes sense, right? Like if I'm hiring this guy to run operations at my company, I want to make sure he's going to go through all the steps that needs to be done, and he memorized them. But that's all it was. Like if I said what's like a word that what's something that has two words that mean the same thing? Oh my god, this is not. I'm not a
synonym.
Like if I was like, here, this is a cup, and I wrote a mug.
Yeah.
I would get that answer wrong. It had to be cup. Has to be the exact word that they're looking for, which is fine. Honestly, whatever. I'm not ripping on it. Not for me though. I was like, this is no. I'm more like, I learn things. I have to put in my own words. I have to like feel it, and then I'll understand it. But if I'm like, you're calling it a cup, but for me it's a mug. It's the exact right. Like,
just because you say that I have to learn this way, or you say that the answer needs to be, you need to come to the answer this way, therefore your answer is wrong, even though you got the right answer, and you will always get the right answer with a different methodology. You didn't use the proper methodology.
Exactly.
So therefore,
that's exactly it.
Wrong.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like just lose marks and
start my life.
So I kind of got lucky. I got into economics, and then I chose finance as well for some reason, because I was like, I want to feel pain.
I hate myself.
Yeah, I hate myself. I was doing like just full on math for the 4 years, and it was great. Like,
math's cool.
It was one of those things where I think for myself, the first couple of years of university, I was like excited to be there and just like be around friends, and you get your first taste of being independent and just like making mistakes and having fun and whatever. And then the third and fourth year was more where I think my work ethic kicked in, where I was like, okay, now I need to start grinding. And I treated it as a 9 to 5. So I would wake up, work all day, and then clock out and have fun. And I did both. Yeah. And I kind of learned, learned a lot about myself during that time. It was great. Would I ever want to go back to those days? No. I'm happy. I'm past them now. Look back and I'm like, that was ridiculous times. Really fun. Made some good friends.
It's they make for good stories, right? And then you're like, I can't do that again.
I think I'd die.
I could never do that again. Stuff. Yeah, I would die. I might get arrested. I don't know. Just not a good time. Yeah. Don't repeat.
It was a lot of fun. And good thing I'm still in contact with some of those guys. So all good guys.
We're going.
That was a side tangent.
Yeah. 10 minutes worth of
well, a little bit more background.
We're gonna use that. We're gonna clip that.
Yeah, I guess like I don't know. I learn a little bit more about each other every episode.
I know, for the better or for worse.
No, that was definitely for better.
That's for better.
Like, yeah,
this time.
those are the wild days, and then things are very different now. Very different.
That's
like,
a good thing. Maybe.
I mean, you see it, right? Like when it's different, yeah, exactly like what you said. It should be a good thing. You should use certain periods of your life to grow, and if you're not,
Yeah.
then like, what are you doing?
Hey, that's all right.
I guess
Everyone can do their own thing.
I mean, look,
You want to chill?
you're always growing. Like, this is something I thought about as a kid a lot. Deep thoughts. I don't think most kids had this thought. Okay. So when I was a kid, I always used to think like, in my head, my parents have no clue what they're doing, and not okay, not because they didn't have.
Make sure to email them this episode.
Yeah, well, they'll watch it. But in my head, I was like, they had no clue what they're doing. Not because they didn't, but I'm like, I'm the first kid they had. How would they know? Like, they're just.
Man, you thought that deep?
Yeah, man, I was a trippy kid. I used to, man, I had insomnia. I would stay up all night thinking about things.
Yeah. I was like, okay, they're the only people that know what's going on. And now, as a father for a year, I'm like, they didn't know fuck all.
Clip it.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know fuck all. Anyway.
Well, no, it's true. I mean, there was a time in my life where I thought Greek people were the only people on the planet because I was like around Greek people all the time, and of course, Greek people are like, Greece is the best.
Yeah.
Greek. And like, so yeah, when I was a little kid, for sure, I was like totally brainwashed in this like echo chamber of Greekness.
That there's a little bit of that you can still see coming through.
Definitely. I mean, it is the best.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, like you learn that no one really has any idea what they're doing.
No.
And you have to constantly be learning.
Yeah.
And,
learning, improving, adding tools to your tool belt, skills to your skill tree.
Nerd talk.
Yeah. I think, I swear to God, I think it was like World of Warcraft that gave me like some semblance of work ethic. Like, hey, life is just a giant MMO.
Quests.
Like, it's just things are quests.
You're
like
constantly questing.
Every time you level up, you gain a skill point. You put it into the right skill tree. I was any game that I play is quite the like, just always min-maxing. So like building characters in like Diablo 2, for example, as a young buck, everything's like locked in permanently. So you need to have your build path set up ahead of time. So you're like, I do this and then I get this skill, then I put it into this tree so that I can unlock this skill. That's how I look at life sometimes, right? You're like, I'm just going to do this thing and then I get my real estate license and then boom, because that helps me do this. And I already know how to do all these other things and property management and blah, and then investing and yada, yada, yada. And then this all just kind of works together and whoa.
Yeah. Those games do
life's a video game.
They do a really good job at like mimicking how life is. I mean, you get that there's not as much delayed gratification in video games. There's more like
well, and that's that's
why they're
problematic.
That's why they're so enticing.
Well, I could go work for a year and then level up my real skill, or play WoW nonstop for a year and be a god.
Not even a year.
No,
it takes like 3 months,
yeah,
and then you're like kind of god level.
You would need some real life VR metaverse action to get any kind of value
Ready
out of
Player
that.
One. Dude,
I'm gone.
Dude,
Ready Player One becomes reality. You put
I know you're gone.
Put a little VR suit in the back of a van.
Like $4,000 worth of equipment, like all top of the line stuff.
Well, yeah. If you can cash out, cash out to like real 100%. World stuff, that's a new job.
Yeah.
That's a whole.
All right. Well.
Wow. Okay. Bit of a tangent.
Oh,
hey, sometimes we talk about real estate and stuff and local things.
And other times we don't.
And sometimes we talk about
honestly, whenever I'm doing anything, I always think like, oh, I'm questing right now. I gotta go get grocery. I'm like, get a bundle of bananas, and I'm like walking over, get it,
kill 3 boars. Like, what?
I don't know. It's how my brain works now.
Yeah, that's a grocery list is just a little like quest tab on the side, and you're like, okay.
Well, you know what? I didn't learn this really recently, but it's kind of kicked in a little bit more. I guess the older I'm getting, the more this is kicking in. Is the fact that okay, when I was younger, I would say I'm going to start working out now, And then 3 weeks go by. I'm like flexing in the mirror. I'm like, oh, nice. Okay.
Why am I not
2
huge?
months go. Well, like 2 months go by. I see the progress. And then I get like happy. And I'm like, all right, I'm
good now.
I'm good here.
Yeah.
And like 3 months, 4 months. Like you see a good, if you work out hard for 3-4 months, you're going to see a pretty big difference in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, whatever. Like after that, you're like, I look good. It's summer. Woohoo. And then done. And then like a year later, you're just like, how did I get back here? I weigh more than what I originally started. Where now I'm finding a lot of happiness in the process of getting there instead of that outcome. So now I'm not like, oh, I want a 6-pack ab. I want to be flexing and get girls. And like, this is now it's more like, oh my God, I woke up early and now I'm about to go for a run and I feel so healthy. And now with the rest of my day, I feel kind of good. And, you know, I feel comfortable. And now it's like 10 p.m. and I'm yawning. I'm like, oh, it's time for bed. This is definitely me getting old. Where before I'm like, it's 11 o'clock. I'm going to start.
Meanwhile, I'm going the opposite direction. I feel like I'm like, it's 10 p.m. Everyone else is in bed. It's time to put some headphones on and start blasting that airbrush. And then why is it 1 o'clock? I need to go to sleep now.
I guess it's very different when you have a little kid.
You know what? It's just like finding those like moments of like, okay, I still have hobbies and I still want to like, still got a job and still have like hobbies and like want to have like at least a little bit of time on the side of all that stuff. So it's either doing that while we're like watching TV after she's gone to bed and just winding down, or
that's
like
pretty impressive.
Just headphones go.
I feel like a lot of people I hear of that have a kid totally delete their whole life.
Well,
because it's
that
tough.
Was kind of the first year. Like she's just ticked over a year now. This is going to be the kid rant episode, I guess. Not rant. It's been a great year. But it's time consuming, right? There's, I mean, one, like I said, no one as a first-time parent, I feel like, knows fuck all, aside from apparently my wife, who just absorbs all of the information. The mommy blogs are strong. There's a lot of info on those mommy blogs. But, like, the first year was a lot. I mean, like, okay, coming back off of, like, COVID, so, like, head in the sand already, and then, like, have to be ultra careful from pregnancy and 1-year-old and stuff through all of that. Now she's healthy. We're kind of, like, getting into a rhythm of stuff a little bit, and I'm like, okay, let's have a life again. Let's like do things. All I would do before was like mobile games because that's all you can do. She's like, you're just like, okay, I'm gonna fucking grind the thing. My little like corner off to the side. Let's okay, like, there's nothing going on.
You're like softly whispering.
I don't know why I did that. That was real fucking creepy. That doesn't actually happen. But yeah, no. Now, only now can we start to like find little semblances of like reality again, and like we're actually our own people. Anyways.
Well, you did a pretty good job, though, throughout the whole time. I mean, for you, maybe you cut back your hobbying by like 90%, but you still remained some sort of level of, okay, I have 30 minutes. I'm doing something that I like, where I feel like a lot of people who don't, and I'm sure you lost your mind a few times during that time period, but I mean, like, I feel like a lot of people let that grow out of control and they get to that year plus part and they're just like, totally destroyed because they're just like,
well,
it was stressed for a year. I didn't do anything. I feel like I'm so obligated to stare at this baby all day and not like, I feel like that's how I'd react right now. I'd be like, oh my God, I'm paralyzed.
I mean, I do until she goes to bed and then that's fine. That's not for the first little while too. Then we would just like, she'd go to bed and then we would stare at the baby monitor and be like, oh, and then we would be like, okay, she hasn't moved for a while. Is she dead? No. Oh, okay. She's good. And then we'd be like, oh, okay, well, this is boring now. Let's look at all the photos I took. It's just more and more and
so
more.
Wholesome.
I know.
So cute.
But it's like, I don't know, sometimes to your point, like I've met people who are like, good luck. Welcome to hell. You're like, whoa.
You're like, holy crap.
This is supposed to be a happy moment.
It's hard.
It is. It's definitely hard. It takes a village, as they say. But no, it's totally worth it. I think we are lucky. She's been great. Like some friends of ours are like, you know, you guys really aren't it's not fair what you're doing. Setting the bar so high. Now every time when we're gonna have kids, it's gonna be like, oh,
their
what
little
the fuck
shits running around.
Where's that one? We want their kid. Or she's just gonna be an absolute nightmare when she's like a teenager or something. So we'll see.
That probably will happen either way.
Yeah. Or like the next one's a nightmare or something. But
having a teenage
as of right now,
is probably not fun. Just
I need
you when you were a teenager.
I was a
had to,
fucking prick.
someone had to deal with
I
that.
was not a good. Thanks, Mom. Sorry, Dad. Like, this is when we need to build garden suites everywhere, or at least in our own house.
Stick them in the
nice
back.
little. No, that's for me. That's my escape. That's how I get away.
Little hobby space.
We don't need an actual proper garden suite. I just need 4 walls, a little bit of a heater.
Maybe a washroom.
Yeah, probably a washroom.
So you don't have to ever see them.
Pull out couch.
Yeah.
Anywho, no, things are it's good, and again, finding the little bits of time for yourself, and now we kind of like, let's do a little bit more hobby, and you just, I don't know, you work life around it. Things are good.
So
Kids are cool, and they're gross.
I'm not one to put words in someone's mouth, but I'm gonna do it anyways. Oh, that was close. Yeah. So she's not here to defend herself.
Ooh, who we talking shit about?
Samantha.
Oh,
Samantha Chan from. Yeah. I'm not talking shit, but no. I know you and her have an opinion recently that there's some big value spreads that are available on the market, and I switched the topic up to real estate, by the way.
Yeah, we're on real estate.
And
I think I know where this is going.
There's some big value spreads, meaning you can pick up some properties that are at absolute floor level, pump some renovations, and get maybe 2x or more out of that renovation cost back in a refinance.
I don't think that's exactly how I put it, or
it was pretty close.
How Sam put it. I mean,
I would say
okay.
It,
first of all,
I
didn't put it the same way that she did, but I do agree with the sentiment in the general direction.
It was like a 2 a.m. commercial on like.
Do you want to make money in real estate?
That's exactly it. Call this number now. What are you waiting for? If I can do it.
Oh, that's accurate. Yeah, okay.
Sorry, Sam.
For a short time only, we'll be in your city.
Yeah.
Come to the Metro Toronto Convention Center on March whatever for a 2-weekend summit, yada, yada, yada. And I promise first hit's free.
Okay.
The first hit is free, maybe $200. But you're not leaving the room without the $10,000 package.
That's coming next.
That's it's funny. It's funny how quickly those guys disappeared. And when like Feb 2022, March, whatever, like it's crazy how fast that scaled up in the past like 3 years ish. Like how many different Facebook ads you would get on like a daily, or even like in the mail, or even like calls, like just on a regular basis. And like before, you would see the big names, the Property Brothers, Scott McGilvery, like the people that had done like HGTV or whatever, and they're still kind of probably doing them. But then all of a sudden, you're
don't see those
who
anymore.
The fuck are you? And who the fuck are you? And you, what? You JV'd with your mom, and now you're like a guru who's selling $10,000 courses and like other people's money. And well, where'd they go?
Even Scott McGilvery, I haven't seen.
No, I
don't
think I've seen any of them really.
There's not really much to charge people for now. I mean, before there was more of a buffer zone, right? You can be like, hey, at any given time, 10% of the deals on the market are probably going to work. So just, go find those 10%. Now it's
most people weren't looking for, like, you're talking about deals that we would look at and be like, fundamentally, income in, cost here, cash flow, great, appreciation, maybe, but if it happens, bonus. That's like, okay, you can make a deal work under those circumstances. These were like, I buy real estate, number go up.
True.
I make money.
Speculators.
Problem solved.
Yeah.
Those are gone.
Those are gone. Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I guess, but 3 years ago, anything you bought was going up pretty much.
That was the entire like thesis of people's real estate investing. And
everybody was a genius.
Was number go up. And now I'm genius. And I leave my 6-figure tech job because I can buy real estate.
Like flies now.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm seeing so many less names that
like agents?
Agents.
Yeah.
I'm saying agents, even investors. I mean, it's not as much as I expected, to be honest. I thought it would be way more doom and gloom at this point.
Yeah, by now.
I'm
curious to see what happens on Wednesday.
Like a year ago, I was like, there's no way rates go up to like 4%.
I think if rates go up 0, not at all, on Wednesday, it'll be interesting.
I think it's floodgates are opened.
Imagine they went down. That's not going to happen. But imagine they were just like, we're gonna go down like
There's
a
no
quarter
way,
point,
'cause that would,
and then
prices would just go
it'd be nuts.
crazy.
It won't happen.
No,
That's not even a guess. That's not even a speculation. That's not like
There's
I won't say zero because who the
1%
fuck knows?
chance.
But like, yeah, that's not happening.
who knows these days? Probably not happening anytime soon this year. But
The Not Financial Advice Podcast.
yeah, but there has been so.
Anyways, the spread
Yeah,
piece that
I've
you're
had
going to.
clients. So I had a discussion with a client recently, and actually earlier today. And when we were talking about cash flows and the potential. And she goes, before I met you guys, I always thought the norm was buying a property, let's say in Moore Park, which is for people who don't know, it's like a neighborhood, maybe not A plus, but A, like really, really nice. It's just under that like nicest in the city neighborhood. It's like almost the nicest in the city neighborhood. And so they were like, yeah, I would hear, my friends and colleagues would be like, buy that, rent it out for very, very strong rents, and hold on to a $2,000-$3,000 negative, cash flow a month. That was like the norm in Toronto.
That hurts me to even like fathom, but yeah.
But when you think of it, I mean, yeah, if those people that went to those courses, 10% courses, first of all, they're not buying in Toronto. Those people are buying like more so in the middle of.
It depends on the angle of the course. If it's a flipping course, you're buying in Toronto. If it's a rental course, but most of them were flipping, I think. Most of the courses for a while were like flip everything because HGTV makes it look sexy.
They do make it look sexy.
Then you try it.
And then you're like,
it's not so sexy.
It's not so
it's
sexy.
Sexy when it's finished. And it's fun to like brag about and talk about and show pictures of. And it's nice to have like on a resume to be like, hey, look what I did in the middle of the project. And then with a market that's like fluctuating.
Ooh.
And then when your project is still in the middle of it and the market tanks.
Who made generational wealth off of one flip just a few years ago.
Yeah.
Like
it's
the timing of it. If you bought, let's say in 2017 and then you sold in or maybe not 2017, it would be like 2018, 2019, and you sold in like 2022 peak.
Yeah, like Jan, Feb.
Yeah.
Yep.
You probably made just off of appreciation 30%, not including value add.
Yeah. And the value add was at like a huge multiple given the timing. 100%. And what I would say to that as well, to any of you crazy people that are getting any crazy ideas, the same thing happened in crypto, and the same thing happened in the stock market, and the same thing happened with GameStop. Like, it's the same shit, right? Hey, I bought something. It went up like crazy due to forces out of my control that I didn't do anything to influence. And then I sold it and I made off great. And then a whole bunch of other people did the exact same thing under a different time period or a slightly different set of parameters, and the results were not exactly the same, right? Which is why fundamentals are always important in any kind of investing, and holding power is always important in any kind of investing. Anywho, that's
so the conversation
everyone's like investing criteria are a little bit different. So like some people can weather a huge negative because it is a house in a neighborhood that they'll like die holding in their portfolio, and it's a piece of a very exclusive community that
for sure.
Like
it's worth it in my opinion. It's worth it. I would not be able to.
But can you weather it?
I can weather that, right? Like I personally couldn't. If I had so much money that I could, I'm going to the A+ neighborhoods and just buying them up. Because why wouldn't I? Of course, I want to own the nicest piece of land in the best city in Canada.
Yeah, I mean, people invest in. I mean, this is taking it a step too far in the other direction. But like, people invest in art and watches and things like that don't provide them an immediate return either, right? It's a safe place to store, and at least there's some income coming in.
Yeah.
And I would argue that it's a whole lot nicer than a watch, or if big triplex in the annex or something is a little bit nicer than all right, fine, or I don't know, piece of art. Well,
would you say it's nicer than like a nice car?
Yes.
Okay.
And
fine.
that's coming from me.
Yeah, that's
as
fair.
someone who very, very much appreciates a nice car.
From the annex on your wrist, okay?
You can't flex. Actually, no, you can flex your triplex. It's just on Instagram, not on your wrist.
You'd also look like kind of a asshole. Hey, look at my
a lot of people you're calling out with that one.
Sorry, guys. Ourselves included.
Excuse me while I go post my triplex on Instagram. No, but very much.
So the way my conversation went was because we were talking about cash flows. The last few months have been historically slow. Right? I mean, talk about the last 12 years, but go back even more, I think.
Oh yeah, we're at like 10-year low inventory, or at least December was.
And so it's a lot tougher to find those. You know, if we're usually trying to bat for average and go top 10% deals, which is where even top 20% deals, you're doing really well. If you always buy the top 20% deal over a long period of time, you continue to grow a portfolio, you're going to do really well.
Yeah.
So even call it top 10%. Nowadays, top 10%, that's like 3 deals that maybe are on the market, and even those, that top 10% may not be looking that great, especially if you're a cash flow investor, which you know, a lot of people, or try to be at least.
Yeah. That's the core for most starting.
Well, why aren't there these cash flow, you know, positive properties? If I'm going to be negative, might as well be more negative and buy something in an A+ neighborhood than be slightly negative in a not A+ neighborhood, in a B neighborhood or a C neighborhood. And it's like, those deals are still there. Those big cash flow deals are still there, but they're just,
they need
work. You need to really, you know, lift up your sleeves, put your boots on, and go to town, because those properties aren't as quote unquote easy as they may have once been. I could say they're quote unquote easy because it's what I do every day.
It's perspective. Yeah.
But you know, for us, you know, if I see a property and I see $60,000 worth of renovations, I can be like, okay, boom, that's how much this costs. That's gonna go over here. It's gonna take me this amount of time. Done, easy. For me.
And I mean,
me.
for like,
it should be
for
easy
us,
at
that's
this point. If it
fairly, that's what I would consider fairly lipstick.
Exactly.
Like, that's a minor.
Now those lipstick renos aren't gonna get you those big cash flows that maybe 3-4 years ago they did. 3-4 years ago, you're going into a property, you know, buying it 600,000. Putting the lipstick, boom, 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 done, and now you're cash flow positive. Great.
Yeah, I would say pre-COVID, the stuff that moved really was just the stuff that was like the stuff that moved well at a price point where you're like, this doesn't really make any sense. Was stuff that was done, finished flip properties, brand new. Or I lived in here with my family, and it's been updated in the last 5 to 10 years. It's in good shape, kind of thing. There was room for like Nona's house that's in great condition but very old, still very livable, but older finish. These days, that older finish is still moving. Like it so long as I can move in, right? That it still moves for a fairly reasonable price from the end user market as far as that's concerned, right? If I can live in it and work on it over time, great. I think that's the angle of a lot of people that are buying these days. It's really the stuff that like I couldn't move in here today without renovating it first. That's got the spread, that's got a little bit more of a deal to be had.
It's even a little bit bigger than that, I would say.
You need to do like significant work.
Because there's no sink. Or the sink is...
Okay, a lot of them are like, it's just incredibly disgusting and vile and falling apart a little bit, but there's still a sink. It might be a laundry sink in the basement, exactly. But it's a sink.
It may or may not work.
There's only been a couple houses I've seen recently with no kitchen, but... They were. Oh, I sent you guys a video.
Yeah, that might be.
That was the house.
Sorry, that was a stretch on my end. Maybe not that level, but just before that.
But like,
or before you're like, I don't really want to live in this, but I could.
Yeah,
it would be comfortable.
But like to get that deal, to get that like cheap price, the discount from market. I mean, the thing that I have been saying, and I do very much think is true. The spread between a finished property and a needs lots of work property is growing these days, it seems like, especially in the last couple of weeks. The stuff that is really hot, really move-in ready is getting the eyes, it's getting the attention, it's getting multiple offers, which is helping drive that price up to create the disparity, while the stuff on the bottom end of that spectrum is getting no offers. It's sitting for a month, and then you're kind of in a bit of a negotiation. So perhaps the upper stuff is probably selling a little bit above market value for that finished property, and the lower stuff is probably selling a little bit below market value, which, again, continues to create that disparity. The problem is, for some, you need to do the work. And to do the work, not only one, do you need to have a little bit of confidence in who you're hiring to do the work, what work you're going to be actually doing, knowing which steps to take in the right order, and not screw up your project. And that's scary. That's risk for the uninitiated, if you will. But also, it's a lot of money. These renos are probably like $100,000 plus to be at the level where you're creating that gap, that spread. You're going to be spending, in most cases, $80,000 to $100,000 or more, a lot more in some cases.
And $80,000 to $100,000 is like,
that's like
floor level.
Yeah, that's the.
If you're going to someone random, you're probably spending that times 1.5 easily.
Yeah,
easily.
yeah. And if you hire the city to do it, 10x.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, it's going to be at least that level. And if unless you're looking at it again from the investor's shoes, you're adding some value, you're getting some income back from that value that you're adding, or from at least the way you're finishing that property. If you're like a first-time buyer, second-time buyer, you're trying to get into the market for the first time, which I would argue is probably a lot of people that are moving around right now, using the low prices to like leverage what down payment funds they have, which is likely less than someone coming from their third house or their fourth house, right? When you're on a fixed, you're working with a limited amount of capital, you've probably barely got enough for the 20% down payment and closing costs. Where are you going to finance a $100,000 reno, right? Which is why everyone moves towards one. They don't want to do the work, which fine, fair, super fair.
That's the biggest one.
Yeah. I don't know that it's the biggest one, but I think it's a very significant one. Not wanting to do the work, not knowing how to do the work, not even knowing how to approach a situation, not having the vision to take something from ugly to stunning. Pinterest, that's the key. But also just the capital. If I can buy a finished property for 20% more, well, all that's on the bank anyways, right?
Yeah.
I'm only paying 20% of that in terms of like from the down payment increase. I don't have to fork over $100,000 in cash. I can then leverage that through the bank, which is a much easier strategy. And I also don't need to live through a 6-8 month renovation or what have you and hire all these people. So I think there's a lot of legitimate reasons for the spread to exist.
For sure.
But for some, it also creates opportunity.
Yep.
Right. It provides opportunity. It means we get to get in at a lower entry price to create some cash flow, depending on where that big reno is coming from.
Renovations, especially if it's an end user home.
Yeah.
It's great to personalize things, because once you buy a turnkey property, you're not necessarily going to go in and say like, oh, I wish my kitchen actually had this feature, or oh, I wish I had an extra washroom here. That's, you're ripping out things that are perfectly fine.
That's been my issue with finding investment properties too. For some people, is that like you walk through a house and it's not design is one thing, but like just the layout, maybe it doesn't work, but it's a perfectly fine house. And let's say the kitchen's in the wrong spot. You're not going to go in. You're paying for it anyways.
Yeah, you're paying that premium.
You're paying the premium for the finished property. Then you're going to go in and rip it out and spend more money to redo it. That doesn't make any sense at all. So you kind of
an hour ago saw the exactly
that scenario.
Like, this is so nice. This is perfect. It works for me. But I need to move this beautifully newly done kitchen over here and add a washroom downstairs. Meaning I'm ripping out the beautifully finished basement.
Great. So let's just
paying $50,000. And you're already paying the premium because it's so nice inside. And then why are you even paying for the...
Let's light $50,000 on fire and
exactly.
move on.
You're not gonna. This isn't coming back. This $50,000 is already maxed.
It's
out,
only value add if there was value to be added,
exactly.
and it's not already at a premium, right?
Yeah.
Unless it's in the right neighborhood, I think, because of where we are, because so many neighborhoods are fairly exclusive. People are like, they are just waiting to find any opportunity to own a piece of something in that area. Mm-hmm. You find a miscellaneous 2.5-story detached in like Leslieville, for example. It could look like anything. It doesn't matter. It's going to move quite well. And exactly. I just want it here so that I own this land and then I can do with it what I want for life. Anyways, that's kind of a bit of a rant and a tangent. But long story short, I think there is value to be added to properties. I think that is going to help make things cash flow in the short term, depending on where your renovation funds are coming from. Obviously, if it's leverage from a HELOC, that's got a bit of a cost to it that's increasing these days. Mm-hmm. So that could be an offset. So the cash flow does have to be pretty strong. And it's nice to know and feel safe that this is my stance on the value add perspective. It's nice to add the value. It's nice to feel super safe about the value, knowing that I have a property that's worth X and my mortgage is worth significantly lower. The gap between what I paid for it and how much equity I started with and how much equity I currently have is large. What do you do with that these days? The answer 2 years ago would have been to refinance, pull that money out, buy another one. I think you really have to have a diamond these days to make that make a ton of sense. Just looking at where the costs for mortgages and things like that are, the cash flows aren't quite so huge because mortgage rates are so high. I would think of the best deals, at least personally, how I would probably operate this would be like a super long-term BRRRR, right? Knowing that the capital is going to be tied up in the property, but I've at least built an equity net, like a little bit of a nest egg in there that one day I can access that. Maybe the cash flow is strong enough that I can do a refi short term or add a HELOC or a second mortgage piece or something to access that equity, only if there's something I can do with it to make a return for it to make sense. I'm not going to pay 6% mortgage rate to just let it sit there and do nothing and then kind of burn a hole. But I think it's more and more difficult to find ways to access that capital after you've added the value. That's
one thing that we were just sort of learning a little bit more about was the product from one of the banks, one of the major banks. I believe they might all even have this, where they go in and once you lock up a property, typically, you try to pick it up conditionally. Usually the two conditions are for a freehold property, they're going to be on conditional on inspection and financing, roughly around 5 business days. So financing, what typically happens is you send it to your mortgage agent. They'll go through everything and be like, yes, you can afford this. Okay, yep, you're good. The property looks good, but they need an appraisal of the property. So they send out an appraiser to go to the property, check it out, make sure everything's good. They'll then compare that to the recent sales in the area. Whether they do a good job or not is, up in the air, but usually it's fine. What we're buying is usually fine.
Sometimes you got to get a second appraisal.
I've seen some wild appraisals before.
We've gotten some especially with market rent stuff sometimes.
Some wild appraisals. Like sometimes they're like, oh, you're buying a triplex? Here's a bungalow. That. So I'm like,
oh yeah, we went through one of those.
Like what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? That's not even this. Okay. Side.
I had the market rent appraisal too that came in, and then we asked for a second opinion, being like, hey, we think this is way off. It came back double. $4,000 to $8,000 was the jump from the first guy to the second guy. No other opinions, no nothing. The property didn't change. This was 3 days apart.
Yep.
Anyways, sometimes you just got to check your appraisers.
This product that some banks may or may not have is that when that appraiser goes in to appraise the value of your house, let's say you bought it for $1 million, they'll also appraise it on a value of potential renovations that you're doing. So you would send them a list and say, I'm going to put up quartz countertops, new cabinets, new washrooms, new flooring, blah, blah, blah. I'm changing the windows, increasing electrical to 200 amps, whatever it is, you have that all outlined for them and a quote from a contractor. You put that all together and send it to them. Then when they're at the property looking at it, first of all, they're going to say, okay, is this $1 million? Yes, maybe it does. And, they'll compare it. And then after seeing it, they're going to say, okay, with the value added to the property, now we will refinance it at this certain amount. So that amount could be, this is the part that's a little bit more unknown for us right now. Is it 1.2? Is it 1.3? Or is it,
well, I think that's
just getting, 1x the amount of your rental, or is it 1.5x?
It's property specific again, right? That's very I don't think, I think it's an amazing product is the word I'm looking for. I think it's an amazing product. I think it adds a whole lot of certainty to your project up front, which is the biggest, most important thing. And I think it also, because they're willing to take kind of a before and after approach, I think it does well to add, it brings more properties into, it makes them more of an option. Stuff that a bank wouldn't typically finance. They can look at it and say, no one can live here right now, so therefore I'm not going to touch it. Or no one can live here right now, but I'm only giving you X today. I know you're going to do this work, and then I'll give you the rest when you're finished. I think it's called a purchase plus improvements, but I actually think that was a slightly different product, because this one is not paying for the actual construction as it happens. It's just paying you at the end, kind of doing like a built-in refi, right? It really is just a built-in refi. Which
it takes that variable that you don't know.
I know what I can get at the end of the day,
exactly.
which is huge. And if you can get more, great. But if you can't, at least you have a guaranteed kind of a locked in thing from the start.
I mean, guaranteed. I'm sure there's a bunch of
caveats and things, and you really have to follow
everything to a T that you said that you would. But
it
does open up a lot of opportunities. I think
it does
for more certainty, because one of the biggest questions I get asked, or one of the hesitancies at least from investors, is that I'm putting X amount of work in this property.
How do I know?
How do I know it's going to come out? What if I can't pull out more?
Yeah.
What if totally fair. And there's no answer to that, or no realtor is going to say, "Oh, for sure you're going to," because then
some will.
Actually,
I think a lot of them will.
Work
with some of those. Before.
Okay.
I had my license. Honestly, before I was even here, back when I was doing the flipping off of those weekend courses. Hey, that number is guaranteed, buddy. You're good. You're good, buddy.
It's the buddy for me.
No problem. see this comp? 6 streets over, an extra story, double the lot width.
Sure thing.
Yeah,
Buddy.
no problem, buddy.
Yeah, no, there's no guarantees there. So.
What I don't think that solves, unfortunately, is the same general gist. If I access that capital, if I go and pull that out, what do the numbers look like now? What does it look like today? So I think it's awesome to have. I think even using a portion of it would be super cool.
Yep.
And it's a nice guarantee of things, or as guaranteed as it can be. But in general, still accessing and then what your numbers look after that is just tougher these days, right? That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was that thunder storm. Did you see that?
You mean thunder snow?
Yeah. Were you like?
So I was walking the dog. Shit was crazy.
You were walking the dog.
Yeah, I think I had showings. So I first of all, I knew the thing was coming. I didn't know it was going to be thunder snow. But I was like, hey, can we like maybe reschedule the showings? Which I'm glad I didn't, because we hit like the tail end. I think the last 2 it started to snow, and then all of a sudden it was like we went to 2 properties once the snow started. We maybe were in each property for like 15 minutes, and we would go in, cars clean, come back out. I need to take up the brush, like brutal. Second house, same thing. And then it took me like an hour and a half to get home, just like across town, which was a bit of a shit show. But when I got home, snowing like crazy. Took Callie out for a walk. I hear like just thunder crash, whatever, and I thought it was like a plane or something. Like I thought a plane just like went overhead. It was like that kind of vibe. And then it happened again. I was like, there's a lot of planes.
You don't even live in a fly zone, do you?
Sometimes we get something. I don't know. I don't know, maybe. And then we heard more, and then I was like, what the hell's going on? And then we saw lightning, and I was like, what the deuce? Like, what? Anyways, in general, it was just cool. And you see photos like the next day. I don't know. I don't know.
In general, it was dope.
I'm not a fucking...
I love that shit.
What's a geologist? No, that's not the right...
Geographist?
No. Fucking what?
I'm just trying to...
What's a weather person? That's...
Geologist.
Is that it?
Meteorologist.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I have no fucking idea, but I knew it was cool. I know people don't see that shit often. I know there was lightning and there was thunder and then there was snow at the same time. Hence, thunder snow.
Yeah,
real cool.
I was in my living room and I was talking to my girlfriend.
Oh, you got a good view for that shit.
Yeah, it was a great view. So I live on like in a condo, so I'm a little bit higher up, and I'm speaking to my girlfriend, but I'm not facing the window behind me. The like floor to ceiling windows with like my balcony door. I'm looking at her. And she's talking to me, and midway through, she's like, oh, and I'm like, what? She's like, there was just lightning, and I was like, there's no way there was light. I look back, I'm like, it's snowing. There's a snowstorm.
Yeah.
She's like, there was lightning. So then we're just both like staring outside for a while, and then you see a flash again. And holy crap! Yeah, it was lightning.
It was cool.
It was really cool too. The snow wasn't falling down; it was going just parallel,
like sideways.
Yeah, it was totally sideways.
Heavy duty storm.
It was pretty cool to see, like from that level. You're like, wow, this is intense. Yeah. And my actual so my balcony was fully covered in snow. Usually it's just like a outer lip. It was fully covered. It was pretty intense.
I'm surprised that we didn't have more like power outage, branch tree breaking. Like the wind was huge and the snow was heavy as hell.
Yeah,
that was a bitch to move the next morning. You're lucky. You fucking condos.
Yeah,
I wish I had a garage.
Yeah.
And I wish I had a snowblower. That taught me. I saw one guy on our street had like you get a snowblower that it kind of is like has like a weed whacker stick. It's just like a little like 1.5 foot snowblower on the end of a weed whacker kind of thing. Genius. Probably doesn't blow much snow, but
it's not doing anything.
It was real cool.
You need those intense, like,
even like a heavy duty, like an electric snowblower would probably jam up. Yeah. Like electric that shit was heavy.
No.
I built my first snowman in a long time this weekend.
Really?
Yeah, we took Ella in the backyard. We did some laps. Callie went crazy, and we built the snowman.
Does Ella know what it is, or
she was like, it's Dad, your snowman sucks. It did not look very good. Hold on, I have a photo of it somewhere.
It's like what's the guy's name? What's that snowman's name? Come on.
Olaf?
See,
I know exactly the snowman.
Did it look like that? That's how I picture your snowman.
It looked a whole lot worse than that.
Worse than Olaf?
We'll maybe attach. This is the middle of my backyard right now.
It's kind of like, oh my god.
Well, you don't like his face?
He looks like Joe Swanson from Family Guy. You know, the big jaw.
Oh,
Is that
yeah,
his
yeah,
name,
yeah,
Joe?
yeah.
Yeah.
Just real crooked jaw.
Yeah.
I'm surprised if I get home and his head's still attached. Like, I gave him no neck. I didn't realize when I built the top one, it was bigger than the second one. Like, his head was bigger than the body snowball.
That's a bad snowman.
So then I kind of like hacked at his neck to give it a little bit of depth and character, and now he's just fucking.
Whatever.
I broke his jaw, and it wasn't a good time, but it's very entertaining. I haven't built a snowman in like probably a decade.
That's probably a good thing.
Why? Snowmen are cool.
Would you like a 30-year-old building a snowman by yourself?
Hey kids, come check out my snowman. And arrested. Wow, what a great place to end an episode.
Oh, hit our segment. We didn't even hit our segment.
Oh yeah. Well, it's all right. Watch Spiro go for a rant in a moment.
And now it's time for the Reddit Random.
I didn't do the thing this time. I
like
really
it.
do have to clip the first one because
Yeah,
it
you
sounds
do.
probably the best.
That was a good one too. I just like watching you get.
I had to
in the
try.
zone
Just get ready for it.
Just clear your throat.
Where'd it go though? I mean, it's up on the board.
Well, you remember the answer?
No,
to it.
this is
I'd have some questions to ask.
Oh yeah. Anyways, so what we learned from the Toronto Star after digging on Reddit today, we're spending. This goes hand in hand with our rant on government spending last time. Apparently, we as a city are spending $9 million to rescue a digging machine. That's how they've called it. I mean, I feel like they're really downplaying the cost and use and how important this thing is, but it looks like it's a tunneler, maybe 4 feet wide or so, that's being used for micro tunneling to bore under the city. I think where they were near line 2, the subway line 2, and apparently it got jammed up like 7 feet from the exit kind of thing, or from where it was supposed to be finished. Which it makes me think of like, you ever seen the kind of meme, kind of not, just photo of like the guy that's like digging for diamonds or whatever, and the one guy turns around and it's like right there. That's it. Except this guy, in a classic Toronto fashion, just got tangled up on fucking construction junk that was buried underground, and now he's stuck there. Like I think it was like rebar and shit.
Fault. I don't get it. Why is the city paying for that?
Well, I don't know.
I guess
City's junk.
They're like, hey, you broke our digging machine.
Yeah. I don't know how expensive these digging machines are, but
Probably
I don't know, just
much
leave
more
it?
than $9 million, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Or at least that much.
probably some fancy diamond cutting head thing. Oh, it was 5 meters long by 1.5 meters in diameter. That's
It's not even that big. What were they building that hole for? Like, what's going in?
utilities probably. Yeah, utility cables,
Just
that type
running-
of stuff.
True.
Like
Just running
primary,
all
like
these wires
underground
through there.
it's probably for Rogers.
There's no way $9 million.
And that's because they need to like, so it got stuck in like rebar and stuff for like foundation work for buildings. That was just leftover garbage. It sounds like just miscellaneous stuff there. It grabbed all that and started chewing it up, and then it got broken and stuck. And I think it probably like punched something else loose while it was down there.
There has to be a cheap, like a way.
The cutter head started to chew into that wire, and it just became a bunch of spaghetti and got wrapped up in the machine, and the machine couldn't advance anymore.
Who said that?
Director in the city's engineering and construction department.
Thanks for dumbing it down for us, buddy. buddy.
Spaghetti. Sensors that are used to
To
guide
be
it.
honest,
raise the
I
yield.
do appreciate though the simple.
Oh yeah, I would not have
language
if
of
they were like, did cauldron? Anyways, I couldn't even explain it in a smart way.
That's what I
Like
would
the teacher from Charlie Brown. That's what I would hear. Just we had to rethink and refocus how we're going to achieve this. 2-meter diameter pipe was put down to the exit hole. Workers shoveled using a hydro. So they're like hand shoveling this thing out.
Yeah.
Oh,
How's
it's a
it-
matter of extreme urgency because there was significant health and safety hazard to the public. Oh, interesting. Oh,
Whoa.
so they dug into groundwater, it seems like, because I think it got like sent off course. Sent off course once it like picked all the random shit up, the spaghetti steel,
And, just run into-
and then it hit like a storm drain.
that's not good.
Destabilized like the ground around it, so more sinkholes that aren't
This
caused by
fucking
rats this
bunch.
time.
Damn.
This thing's causing issues.
Yeah, that $9 million now seems.
Extrication efforts put on hold while the ground stabilization firm was called in. Oh boy. And this is probably like under a condo or something too.
Oh my god.
Yikes. Yeah, the sole sourced urgent emergency rescue contract with a
You
primary
boys.
contractor totals about
Come
$9
on,
million.
man. Come on, man.
An unwelcome surprise for a city so far unable to fill massive budget gaps.
Yeah, obviously, with shit like this happens, $9
Ooh.
million. I thought when you brought this up, I thought a person got stuck down there, and I'm like, that person's worth $9
This guy ain't worth $9 million bucks.
bucks. See ya. No, I'm
Jeez.
joking. I'm joking.
No, well, this might be more than a person that's at stake here.
Yeah.
Apparently, I'm not gonna lie. I put that on the list, and I was like, who's spending $9 million to repair it? Just get
Now
this
you're
thing.
like,
Just
yo,
leave him
get
down
it-
there.
Get it gone. Yeah.
Ooh, yikes!
I saw something funny too. It's not a Reddit random, but it was something that the Toronto councillors cut $500,000 from the budget,
For what?
and I was like,
Why?
dude, $500,000.
What are you gonna do with that?
What the hell?
Okay.
What is that gonna do these days? This thing costs $9 million.
That 500 grand is like, what would the city spend 500 grand on?
Like a vendor to some event that they're holding.
Like someone's
Someone's
holding a
hotel
petition
rooms.
right now to put. We're having a street petition go on because they want to put on speed bumps because everyone uses our street, all the northwest ones. Northwest, that's a direction. North-south streets to like bypass the highway access in our area, right? Which makes sense, sure.
Yeah,
and they're
I
like,
use it all the time, too.
put speed bumps because fuck those people and our kids and stuff. And yes, fair. That's probably there's 2 streets and they're 200 meters long.
Probably gonna. Cost
That's more than 500 grand for sure.
Oh yeah. It's gonna take them like
There's
3
like-
months to do it too.
Yeah, and they're gonna order like 4 plastic speed bumps off of 123speedbumps.ca, and they're gonna be like, that'll be $500,000. I hate those.
Well, they're
Give me the nice long flat.
slow. Yeah.
We walked over these the other day.
But the plastic ones are genius.
They're so sharp.
Oh,
They're so yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my
no,
god.
but
Do you
I mean,
like
like-
suspension?
No, I'm not saying as a driver they're not genius. But
Oh,
as a
but
cost
they work.
effective way
Yeah.
of just going and
Oh, they-
screwing them in one day.
Yeah.
Boom. Like way better than sitting there and like paving these. And then have you ever been on
Yeah.
a big one, those beefy ones that they put in by
The
mistake?
flat wide ones or
The
just the
flat wide ones that are a little bit too
Not so flat?
like, a little bit too wide.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
you see the guys in their Hondas like just
Oh yeah. You gotta go up on an angle and down on an angle, and then you're like, where's my back wheels?
yeah.
Hondas.
Shout out to
Hector.
Hector.
Yeah. He's building 3 Honda Civics with spoon engines.
Who's that?
Oh my god. That's one guy will get that somewhere.
Is that Fast
Yeah.
Furious?
Yeah.
Those movies suck.
Fuck you. No.
They're so bad.
You are
They
incorrect,
are
sir.
so bad.
Maybe no, none of them. Fuck it. They just embodied themselves after a while. They just went so
They're
far.
just like, we are this.
Yeah.
This is us.
Yeah. What, you don't like family? So you
Family.
don't respect family?
Family. Oh, trash.
That was my childhood.
That's trash.
Perhaps why I was a degenerate.
Yeah.
I think Tokyo Drift came out right before I got my license, I think. And my grandma's Camry paid the price. And on that note,
Nice. Flexibility.
once upon a time I had some.
All right.
See you later.
See ya.